Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the City Councilor from District 4, Brian Worrell, Chair of the Committee on Small Business and Professional Licensure. It is Monday, August 29th, 2022, and we are here today for a hearing on docket number 0469, order for a hearing regarding barriers to business, sponsored by myself and Councilor at Large Julie Mejia, and referred to the committee on April 6, 2022. The City Council will be conducting this hearing in person and is being recorded. The public may watch this hearing via live stream at www.boston.gov/city-council-tv and on Xfinity 8 RCN 82 Verizon 964. It would also be rebroadcasted at a later date. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at cccSmallBiz@boston.gov and will be made part of the record and available to all councilors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of this hearing. If you're here in the chamber and wish to give public testimony, please sign up at the sheet at the front to my left, which is right over there. If you wish to sign up for public testimony remotely and have not done so, please email Christine O'Donnell at christine.o'donnell@boston.gov for the Zoom link, and your name will be added to the list. This afternoon, I'm joined by my council colleagues, Councilor at Large Julia Mejia, who is also my co-sponsor, Councilor Erin Murphy, who is an at-large councilor, and also Council President Ed Flynn. Today, we're joined by the administration, Chief Idowu, Mayor's Office of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion, Director Persena, Director of Small Business, Daniel Green, Executive Secretary for the Licensing Board, and, sorry, sir, your name?
Mr. Elijah Miller.
Mr. Elijah Miller. Now we'll move on to opening statements. I'll start and then pass it on to my co-sponsor, Councilor Mejia. And as a local Black-owned small business owner, I know how hard it is, or how hard one needs to work in order to get a business off the ground, to be sustainable and to grow. Whether it's receiving technical assistance, funding, or permitting, each of these steps are critical to the success of a business. This is why I introduced the Black and Brown Economic Empowerment Agenda, where one of our priorities is to focus on the investments and policy changes needed to help support our locally owned small businesses to create vibrant and thriving neighborhoods. A new Institute for Justice report, Barriers to Business, finds that starting a small business in Boston is already a costly endeavor, especially compared with other large cities across the country. Fees for license and permits to open a mom-and-pop restaurant, for example, top $5,500, thanks in large part to expensive building and food permits. The report scores Boston 1 out of the 5 in a one-stop shop analysis, reporting that the city's website does not effectively centralize information for entrepreneurs in an intuitive, organized way. The report reveals an extremely complex process for starting a business, stating that food truck entrepreneurs must complete 37 steps, restaurant owners 92 steps, and barbershop owners 81 steps. As city officials, it is our duty to do everything possible to support our entrepreneurs and small business owners. Therefore, we are holding this hearing to discuss the licensing and permitting barriers that small businesses face in the city of Boston and the strategies to remove them. Pass it over to Councilor Mejia, my co-sponsor.
Thank you, Councilor Worrell. And this is his first time chairing his committee, so I'm really excited to be here for you today, and want to just thank you for inviting me to be one of your co-sponsors. And as the chair, as the former chair of the Committee on Small Businesses, and who oversaw the committee during the pandemic, which was the hardest hit point here in the city of Boston, I have seen firsthand how both the barriers to business negatively impact communities of color for people who are established and those who are not so much so, who are interested in starting their own businesses. Let me just say this, like, I do so much better when I just riff, right? So I just, before we dive in, I just wanted to just acknowledge Chief Idowu for all of your hard work in partnership with our office during that time. I mean, you were the one that we invited to every single hearing that we had because you were always bringing in that voice about what was happening for our small businesses, which is one of the reasons why I'm so incredibly grateful that you are now in the position that you are in, because we know when you live it, you know how to do something about it. And so I'm really encouraged to you and your team for all the steps that you've taken in the short period of time that you've been here, and more importantly, looking forward to not only identifying what these barriers are, but more importantly, working alongside you and your team to doing everything in our power in the City Council to support you in removing those barriers. Some of the things that we're going to be diving in a little bit deeper into as we have this conversation is really looking at the whole business community, right? When we think about barriers to businesses, one thing is to get access to contracts, but the other piece of it is knowing the information that's out there. Also, language access is one of the things that I'm always talking about, and how do we support the immigrant community navigate some of these barriers. So really looking forward to diving in deeper and more importantly, how we can partner. Right? Because when we know better, the expectation is that we all will do better. And I know that together we can make some really good trouble. So thank you for being here and looking forward to working alongside you all to close this wealth gap. Thank you.
We'll go to Councilor Murphy next.
Thank you, Councilor Worrell, and congratulations on chairing your first hearing. It's exciting to be here with you. And thank you also around your leadership around and advocacy around this important issue. I know you spoke on this in your maiden speech, and you continue to uplift this important issue and working alongside everyone in the mayor's office and different departments across the city. We know there are so many barriers for small business owners. Just opening your doors, getting off the ground, but then also staying open and what supports along the way. We also know that not just language, but technical support is needed and marketing support. And I know that many of the offices, many of you here who will be speaking understand that and are providing that. So looking forward to this conversation on how we can support our small businesses to succeed and thrive, because we want everyone. And it's also what makes every neighborhood so special. Every neighborhood is a little different, but the small businesses give it the flavor. It, also uplifts the cultural differences that our communities have. I live right next to what we always called Fields Corner growing up, and it's now the Little Saigon Business District, which is amazing. So thank you, and looking forward to this hearing.
Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Councilor Worrell, for your important work, and to Councilor Mejia as well for her important work on this issue. I want to say thank you to the administration team that's here and for your work, your professionalism. I want to thank the chief. We had an opportunity last week. I think Councilor Worrell was there too. Mayor Wu announced a major policy decision on this related issue. So I just want to say thank you to the chief and to your team, the people that are here today. And I also want to acknowledge, Chief, we did a lot of walkthroughs in Chinatown recently with your team. We know how small businesses have been hit there. A lot of them are women-owned, and certainly they're immigrant-owned restaurants or businesses, I should say. But thank you for your support to them. I think my colleagues also mentioned language and communication access has been a major issue that's impacting small businesses, especially in my district. I think I represent the most diverse district in the city of Boston. And many people speak various languages, and language and communication access has to be a part of that conversation as well. We talk about small businesses. I was up at 6:30 this morning on a bus ride with the mayor's office and with the MBTA and DOT in Chinatown. And as we know, that some of the shuttles are running from 5 in the morning to 7 in the morning. because the Orange Line is shut down. So, you know, in the heart of downtown Boston and an immigrant community, we have limited bus service there. And I say that because it's difficult for our seniors to get to their medical appointments that rely on the MBTA. But also, Chief, I think of what about the business community? If you're trying to get into Chinatown and there's really no train system to get in there, and can be confusing at times. So these are important issues, and again, I want to say thank you to Councilor Worrell for the important work he's been doing since he joined this body. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you to my colleagues, and again, thank you to the administration, Chief Idowu, Director Persena, Director Mitchell, all the work, and Daniel Green, all the work that you guys do here in the city of Boston does not go unnoticed. It has made a major impact in your around under 250 days here. So thank you. You know, meeting it with urgency and intentionality. So it's seen and it's appreciated. And I'll turn it over to you for your presentation.
Well, thank you, Councilor, and this is day 249, so you're
Just one off.
But always, you know, as we've always said at the beginning of any hearing, appreciate you all bringing us together for these conversations, not only because they're important, but they're opportunities for us to exchange ideas and hear from all of our constituents, which are the residents of Boston. So thank you, particularly on this issue around small businesses. And before getting into my remarks, I just want to say, when we started off here for some of us, our new roles, and those of you who have been doing this work since before we got here, as we talk about small business, right in January was the Omicron variant, and our businesses were deeply impacted by that, and this council approved $5 million to get out to small businesses, which the small business team was able to get to roughly 1,000 businesses here in the city that otherwise would have suffered and closed their doors. And now here we are with the shutdown of the Orange Line, and this council immediately got into action. And the work, particularly as you've mentioned, Council President Flynn, around Chinatown, but other parts of the city as well, in making sure that our small businesses were heard and that their issues are being addressed throughout this course. I have to give credit to the council for the work that you've been doing to be in touch with our office, as you are part of our connection to these businesses. So I want to thank all of you up front for that work that you've been doing. And so now the remarks that were written from, I'm kidding, I wrote these. But so as our presentation's up, so good afternoon, Mr. Chair. And I have to say, too, this is really great to see. It was great to work with you as you were chair the last few years, and then to see you, Mr. Chair, in this role is very exciting. And so anyway, I'll get out of all of that. I'm happy to be here. I do want to note at the top of this presentation that we're about to go through, and I want to thank you, Candace, for helping us out in getting through this, that while this hearing, as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, has been convened to talk about the Institute for Justice report, this presentation is going to take a more holistic view of the problems that are facing our small businesses, including what was presented by Institute for Justice. But for us, it's important to talk about not just the process of opening a business, but then maintaining, and how our team, from the beginning to helping them sustain all the work that they've been doing. So on the next slide, just to reiterate, myself, Alicia Porsena, the Director of Small Business, Elijah Miller, who is the Director of Policy. Don't worry about it. No one caught it. You're all right. Will be presenting here, and then Danny joining us from the Mayor's Office of Consumer Affairs and Licensing. And so, as I have done at every single hearing, on the next slide, we'll see just the vision of our cabinet. It's important. I know that all of you know this, but because these are recorded, they're streamed live, it's just always important. These are opportunities to get our message out to the broader public. And so the vision of our cabinet since January 3rd of this year has been to create a Boston that's more resilient, equitable, sustainable, and vibrant, a city that centers its people, and one that creates opportunities to build generational wealth. On the next slide, we'll see, though, as we've been sharing since the budget hearings, our version or how we understand equity here in the city. And so we have adopted the definition that the Equity and Inclusion Cabinet put out several months ago, the proactive process of providing historically excluded communities the resources they need to live and thrive. in Boston. And in particular, what we center is racial equity, because we know that everyone winds up benefiting when we center racial equity, as it's not always worked in the reverse. And on the next slide, just a reiteration that anything that we present to this body or in public anywhere is always going to be under this framework of racial equity as we move forward. And I think with that is where I stop talking for the rest of this hearing, and I pass it off to our extraordinary director, who's been in her role way less time than I have been, but she and her team have day and night been doing all they can to support our businesses. So I'll turn it over to Alicia Porceno.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Idu, and I want to thank the Chair and the Committee on Small Business and Professional Licensure for the opportunity to speak on our work. Next slide. So our team provides and connects micro and small business owners and entrepreneurs with the tools and guidance to successfully start, grow, and build a business in Boston. We do this through our significant programming and initiatives. So our Main Streets program, technical assistance, Restore and Design, mobile enterprises, outdoor dining, and the WeBoss program. Next. So this is the makeup of our team. We have about 16 full-time staff who've done a great job of supporting business owners, especially in the height of the pandemic. In particular, we have 7 staff who focus on our neighborhoods. And as you can see, we have some vacant positions that we're hoping to fill in the coming months. I want to thank the council for supporting our department through the budget process and increasing our capacity, which is very much needed in order to meet the needs of small businesses across our city. I also want to note that our department or our office is able to provide support in 5 languages, and our wider cabinet has language capability in 11 languages. Our top 3 main funding sources for our work are Community Block Development Grants, or CDBG, the operating budget, and ARPA. So prior to this fiscal year, our funding came primarily from CDBG, which are federal funds that are restricted to low and moderate income communities. Both ARPA and our operating budget are less restrictive, and the ARPA funds are more focused on post-pandemic recovery. And I think it's just important to note that in terms of the funding and kind of how that works with our programming. So our office has 4 main priorities for our work: COVID recovery, shifting city investments, neighborhood revitalization, and prosperity for all. This will allow us to get closer to our vision of creating a vibrant city that centers people. And part of our focus is making sure, 1, that business owners understand what our office does, and 2, ensuring that they take advantage of our resources that are available. I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, perfect. Councilor Mejia mentioned this, but when we look at COVID recovery, I'm incredibly proud of my team, who in the height of the pandemic responded to businesses' needs and distributed over $29 million in grants in addition to their work of providing support. While these grants were crucial to the survival of small businesses, it should be noted historically, our office has not provided grants or funding to small businesses outside of our existing programming. The grant programs were made possible by large federal grants through the CARES Act and ARPA. And as we look to the future, we want to ensure that we are designing policy and creating procedures that reduce barriers, and we look forward to working with you and the rest of the council and external partners on these efforts.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the council as well as the Institute for Justice for bringing the topic of barriers to business on the agenda today. As Chief Idu and Director Porcena have already laid out, in so many ways, so much of what our cabinet does is focused on creating an ecosystem where people and businesses can thrive. That includes efforts we're taking to streamline the regulatory process, which I can tell you, as a byproduct of the COVID crisis, we've made great advancements in the digitization of our regulatory processes. But what we're really excited to talk about today, why I'm so happy serving the city of Boston every day, are the things that we're doing to address the biggest barriers to business in this city. Our cabinet is filled with diverse staff that carry a lot of different life experiences. We do a lot of research and outreach to make sure that our policies, programs, and practices that we champion are guided by analyses that maximize impact. The graph that you'll see on slide 13 of our presentation is published by Boston University, and it highlights something that I think anybody could guess, but the biggest barrier to small BIPOC business owners and entrepreneurs is access to capital. The City Council has heard many times that this administration is making transformational investments with the American Rescue Plan funds we've been allotted, and that's really not an exaggeration. For better or worse, the City of Boston does not have its own money printer. Businesses make our communities dynamic, nourishing, safe places to live. For a lot of us, the reason why we live in the city is to be closer to the businesses that are important to us. Small businesses, in particular, create opportunities for economic mobility, and they allow people to grow intergenerational wealth. But bringing in outside money is necessary to grow the scale of our local economy. So when I say we're dedicating an unprecedented tens of millions of dollars toward helping entrepreneurs and small business owners secure the capital they need to grow their dreams, we're not just literally transforming people's lives. We're transforming Boston's entire economic ecosystem by putting more dollars to work here in our economy. Importantly, these investments are also being paired with multi-pronged efforts to help small business owners and entrepreneurs overcome the very high costs of commercial real estate in the city. As I'm sure you all know, our sheltered market program has led the way to upending a history of inequitable city contracts, and I was personally very honored to see Mayor Wu guarantee that more women and minority-owned businesses will receive significant city contracts. We know the labor market is also fierce right now, and we're happy to say that our cabinet collaborates in building nationally recognized talent pipelines. While we work with partners to upskill our residents for emergent and growing industries, we're also intentionally engaging with a range of business service providers so that we could bring as many entrepreneurs as possible into our networks of support so we can maximize the reach of technical assistance while minimizing redundancy. And all of that work comes on top of the emergency support that we've been providing over the course of the pandemic. And as I've put on slide 14, just to reiterate, across all of our work, we're intentional in involving multicultural communities in the policymaking process. We make language accessibility a first thought rather than an afterthought. We advocate for city and state policies that are anti-racist, and we are steering interdepartmental efforts to make the regulatory process easier and faster without compromising safety.
As we look at our FY23 initiatives and beyond, we are excited about our work. We're going to enhance our current programming, so really making sure that our programs are adequately funded and meet local needs. I want to thank the members of the Boston City Council for their tremendous support for our initiatives. If we can just go to that slide to show the initiatives that they've all supported. Each one of you have played a very crucial role in supporting these initiatives, and through these programs, we're going to be able to make deeper investments to strengthen our ecosystem. Earlier this summer, we convened an internal cross-departmental group, which will be meeting regularly to address many of the challenges we will hear today. But part of our work also means having more targeted workshops and trainings within our communities, supporting community events, increasing outreach and engagement. We know our communication efforts need to improve while also increasing our language accessibilities. We can go to the next slide. Here are some photos from our weekly business walks, which will actually start back up this week. Of course, every member of the council is invited. You'll be receiving an invite later today or tomorrow morning. And these walks are very informative because they allow us to see the gaps in our work and then figure out ways in which we can dress them together. And then finally, I just want to talk about some new programming that we're doing. So through our work, we want to make sure that we are servicing and providing programming for key groups. So we want to revive the We Boss program and then create 2 additional programs that will center immigrant and veteran-owned businesses by providing them with the opportunity to network, build community, and expand their economic potential. Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation, and sorry, Director Miller, for mispronouncing your name or just calling you the wrong name. We'll go to questions from myself and my colleagues. Everyone will have 5 minutes. So I'm going to put myself on the timer now. And my first question is, going into the Barriers to Business report from Institute of Justice. And it just kind of more so talks about the points of friction. Just kind of want to, based on your research, on your walks, and your interaction with small businesses, have you seen any, in terms of the process of any business, whether it's restaurant, barbershops, any consistent points of friction of people getting hung up on, when they're trying to come to market?
Well, sorry. Oh, there we go. I think, as was shared earlier, the biggest thing is finances, is capital. It's especially poignant after COVID, where a lot of our businesses, actually, the grant money we gave them, whether they got from other sources, didn't actually go to them. It went to their landlords or it went to bills, and so they were not able to reinvest that money in operations and staff, et cetera. The capital piece is big. When it comes to what Institute for Justice brought up around the bureaucracy and the permitting process, might hear that occasionally was not the number one thing or the number 2 or 3, but it doesn't matter what number it is, it's still an issue that we need to address. But the top ones had to do with capital. For the storefront businesses, it was the rent burden. Again, money, not a whole lot of money is coming in due to the decrease in customer, foot traffic, but rents are still rising, and so that's why we're very happy that you all approved our request for $9 million for the subsidy program. But those are 2 big things. And then marketing is another piece, getting the word out there about the business, where it's located, what they sell, et cetera, to increase the customer base. But I would say across the 16 walks we've done, those are the 3 that we consistently hear about.
It's fun. Okay. And then when you talk about funding, is it more just like renovating, building out the space, or, capital to, I guess some of the permits do cost, fees. Yeah. Is there any burden on, the cost of the permits?
I have to be honest with you. And if it were, I would say that it is something that we hear about, but the things that people are thinking about when it comes to money are, you mentioned one of them, renovations, improving the space, being able to hire more people, so capacity. Another, which we'll be happy to talk about later this year, is acquisition. Business owners, they're tired of paying rent. They prefer to be property owners themselves. And so we're working on a program to help make that possible here in the city. But those are the types of things that we hear about. Honestly, when it comes to permitting, it's one-off. Like, we might get reached out to, or I'm saying we, our small business team might get reached out to by some business owners over the course of the year who might highlight that they can't afford to pay for a permit or things like that. But when we're walking around talking to folks, it's not the first thing on folks' mind. But it's still an issue that we need to address. I just want to be clear, even though it's not the 1, 2, or 3,
right,
we know it is still an issue, which is why we're happy to be here to talk about this. It's just not the top thing that business owners are talking about.
And then can you dive into more in depth on how we're helping small businesses, get the funding that they need, whether it's commercial assistance for the rent or renovations? Can you talk to me about how we're going out into the neighborhood, making sure that those access to capital is available?
Sure. Well, I'll have Alicia talk about the Restore program and loans that we give out. But I will say, this year it's been mostly the relief funding that this council approved back in January. Yeah, it's been pretty much that. And then in terms of the acquisition, we're talking about funding sources for that. We're talking to external partners that can help with that. On the rent piece, the $9 million in the mayor's ARPA proposal as a subsidy program to help with build out, rent, et cetera, over the years of that we can spend down the ARPA money. That's where we're going to be getting the source from. But at the same time, we're talking about the ARPA money that we're going to use for these programs. We are in active conversation with external partners because all that money has to be spent in a couple of years. And so we don't want to have it spent down and then say, okay, never mind, the city's not going to do this. We're looking on ways to sustain the programs that we're talking about.
Right, and so in terms of supporting our businesses, we've thank you to the council. We've made a significant increase in funding for our Main Street program. So we have 20 Main Streets organizations across the city, and so through the FY23 budget, we're able to build more capacity, look more locally. The Main Street directors are in our neighborhoods and understand the needs and have the trust and relationship with a lot of the business owners. That's one of the ways. We do have a restore and design program that focuses on signage for businesses, for brick and mortar businesses, and then also the outward facade of a construction of a business as well. We have a program that does that. Our technical assistance program too is helpful for businesses, one, who are getting started, but then also are seeking to grow their business. We pair them with other local business or a business to help them get one-on-one support as well. We've increased those efforts this year for FY23 as well, because we understand the need is so great. And then I think also part of this work is building on the ecosystem aspect of it, making sure, one, businesses know about the resources available, and that we're not duplicating efforts, but reinforcing great work where it is great work, and making sure, again, as Councilor Mejia mentioned, that people know about it.
Thank you. Councilor Mejia?
So I have 5 minutes. I only got 4 questions. That's a minute a question, okay? A little padding for extra stuff. So I'm going to start off with the engagement question, just to kind of follow that thread a little bit. And I know you had mentioned around data-driven, evidence-based kind of like outputs in terms of kind of informing your thinking. Can you just talk to me a little bit about what you've learned from businesses that has informed the type of engagement and communication strategies that you're pursuing moving forward?
Sure. So the first thing that I think about when I hear that question is the way communities and businesses in our communities are made worse when they don't have the resources to get by. When businesses close because they can't make it, for instance, in a pandemic, not only does research show this, but our business owners can speak to the fact that communities become more dangerous when there's not people on our streets, customers trafficking our ferryways. There are declining sales and revenue that are borne by all businesses, and what our commercial rent rebate program, for instance, is so targeted to is stopping the falling dominoes in our communities, and in fact, using the resources to be more forward-looking as we can. So our business owners know that they need complementary businesses in their hubs to survive. We see it in the research. That's just one example of what we learn in the field as it is. And
Thank you. Director Persina, I'm sure you might be able to provide a little bit more insight in regards to the outreach and engagement.
Yes. So besides our weekly business walks, we're making sure we're connecting with our Main Street directors who are also out in the field. All of our neighborhood managers have a day where they're supposed to be out in their respective districts, making sure that they're following up with businesses. Myself and the chief have also committed to getting out of City Hall and making sure we're in the community, but then also attending local events. I don't think the first time businesses should see us shouldn't be kind of like when there's a problem. They should see us beforehand. I think that's when our programming works best. And so making sure our engagement is twofold, and it's not just kind of when there's an issue, but before that. And then also, language access. I think when we talk about engagement, not everyone retains information the same exact way. So making sure we're using flyers, leveraging social media, whatever we need to do to get the word out about our work and our programming is so important. The Legacy Business program that's going to be launched next week, which we're really excited about. We have a QR code, so when we're walking around, and we have flyers when we're walking around to businesses, you can nominate a business in real time. We'll sit there with you as we go through the process. You can do it on your phone. So making sure access is there is very key for us.
Thank you, thank you. And I also just kind of want to uplift, that a lot of our immigrant businesses in particular, many are folks who don't have a high school degree, and they're reading and writing low literacy levels as well. So want to encourage the use of audio and visual and other ways to connect and engage with folks who struggle with reading and writing even in their native language. So I just think that that's something that I just want to uplift, that I always talk about. So I just want to encourage you all to think that just because somebody is good at what they do, they have a craft and a gift, but sometimes they struggle with retaining information. So I really do appreciate that insight about people's learning styles and retaining information. If we could just talk a little bit about the whole language access and communication gap. For example, we've come across a lot of folks who have received letters in English in regards to these tax assessments. I just don't remember the name of it, but I went to a hair salon and she showed me the letter and it was in English. And she said, it came in my husband's name, but I paid for it because it was taxes and I didn't want to get in trouble, but I didn't know what it was about. So having to explain to her what it was for and why she was getting it. This was based after a number of folks had already reached out to our office, so we had some understanding about this. I'm just curious, what opportunities exist for your department to really help support other city departments and how they communicate with folks. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. And so Alicia mentioned in her testimony, so earlier this summer we brought together a key group of folks across city departments to start talking about these types of issues. This sounds, mostly something to talk about with our new CFO, who I'm happy started a couple weeks ago to bring this attention to her matter to her attention. But that is the opportunity, is to hear things like that. And again, why we're happy that we're having this conversation is to hear things like that, so that then we are able to go back to our colleagues and say, here's an issue that we need to address. So what we'll have to think about is how we even understand, who needs what in what language, and then making sure that it's getting to them properly.
And I'll just say before my time is up is that I think this is where the opportunity really lies, is we oftentimes work in silos. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different departments that are interfacing with the business community. And I think that this is where, in terms of your intentionality, is really how do we bring these departments together so there's a unified voice in terms of how we engage with folks. And I think that's what I'm really looking forward to and working alongside you all to help support. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Mejia. The floor recognizes Councilor Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. It's great information, and I appreciate that you were... Is it good? Okay, I'll start again. Thank you. And I appreciate you mentioning that you want to get out of City Hall. I know there's a lot of work to do in here, but also I do see you out in the neighborhoods and talking to the small business owners. And I know as an at-large council, that's what you need to do. You have to go meet people where they are. So, two questions I got actually from a constituent, and I know you've kind of touched on it from something Councilor Mejia already asked, but I am going to ask them. In order to assist immigrant owners and owners of color, they must be known. Does the Office of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion direct its Main Street Division to collect information so that all immigrant owners can be reached? So it's that question of, and you did mention that when you do your walkthroughs, you find them, right? And it's something I know we talk about on the council and also in my office. We're a rich city, we have a lot to offer, but what I hear most is people saying, oh, I didn't know about that, or how do I apply for that? Or it's after the fact and they're saying, I wish I understood. So if we could address that question, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, you're right, and it's something that Councilor Mejia actually would often say, that we're resource rich but coordination poor.
Right.
And that's true not just for the city, but, well, anyway, I'll keep my opinions to myself. But I'll just say that when it comes to our main streets, absolutely. Every year they all have to sign, and I will for sure be corrected if I'm wrong here, but I think I might be right on this one, that every year our main streets have to sign a contract in order to get the funding, and part of that is us identifying the types of information that we want the Main Streets directors to gather for us. They also have their weekly calls where they're sharing information that we attend, and we're picking up on that information, et cetera. So I don't know if there's anything to add to that, but to the direct question, yes, we do have them collect information, much like what you just shared.
Yeah. Is there any other office or departments like Main Streets that are also collecting that information? Do we know?
So our office is also collecting information for when we provide programming. We're always getting feedback on our programming to make sure that, one, we're improving them, and then also meeting those gaps.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Also, what metrics does the Office of Equal Opportunity Inclusion use to assure that all needed and available services are presented to and used by immigrant and other owners of color? Is there some sort of metrics that they're using or supporting your office with?
Well, there's a number of metrics that the Office of Small Business determines success or not. When it comes to this question, I'm thinking of, how many people we're reaching, number one. And then whether or not the people that we're reaching are utilizing the resources that we are making available to them. And I think it's the tension there is what helps us understand how better to provide the resources. It's one thing that, you have 10,000 people on an email list. If only 3,000 are opening, got to figure out why. Yep. But then of the 3,000, how many are? And so those are the types of things that we look at to better understand how we get the information out there.
And I would also note that a lot of that information businesses have to self-identify as, and so that's been an issue as well in terms of receiving accurate feedback on that. And I really correlate that with building trust, making sure that identifying as an immigrant business is not, making sure that businesses feel safe to do that and understand that there are resources for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I would see that as a school teacher, ESL teacher, that many students' families would not identify as
Right.
English as a second language because they thought they were afraid to, and then they wouldn't get services needed. And lastly, I love this BOSS network, Business Support Network. If you could just speak a little bit more as the chair of Veteran Affairs, the Veteran BOSS in November, if you could just share or follow up after this also so I can make sure I'm in contact with Commissioner Santiago and our veterans across the city and along with President Flynn to help share this out for all of them, but the November one caught my eye. Thank you.
And I will just note too because this is something that President Flynn has brought up at almost every hearing, I think, that we have been at before the body. And so Commissioner Santiago and I use it as an excuse to have lunch with the commissioner a couple months ago. But our offices are working now on building out, because I know he was also interested in, how does his office support veteran entrepreneurs? And I was like, oh, well, we should be working on this together.
Right.
And so we are in direct communication, meeting regularly about how we can make sure we're providing that support and giving him the capacity to do so as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Councilor Worrell. Thank you, Chair Worrell. Thank you again to the administration team. I know you highlighted language and communication access and the outreach you're doing to immigrant-owned businesses, small businesses, women-owned small businesses as well. So my question is, well, let me just go back a little bit. I have 5 people on my staff. 4 are women of color, and they're immigrants. And they speak languages other than English. They speak English and other languages, I should say. So I've referenced that by saying the other aspect of this issue is also digital equity. I've worked with Councilor Mejia on digital equity, digital access. A lot of my constituents, unfortunately, are not engaged in social media. They don't have readily access to a computer, sometimes a cell phone. Their apartment that they might be living at is really not hooked up to adequately assist them. Sometimes when they have more than one child at BPS and that both children are on the computer for school, it only allows one child at a time. So I reference that by asking, what role is digital equity, digital access playing as you do your outreach to immigrant-owned businesses, knowing that we also have more work to do in making sure that we reach our immigrant neighbors on digital equity issues.
So thank you, Councilor Finn. So as a daughter of immigrants, I understand my parents not being able to fill out applications. And part of the reason why I'm here today is because people have literally walked through applications with me growing up to fill it out. And I see that as part of our work when we talk about getting out into the community, making sure we're sitting down with business owners and filling things out if that is needed. Also, I think looking at our applications for our programming, making sure those are easier and less cumbersome as well. I think that's part of our work too as we look at it as well.
Thank you. And sometimes businesses that are owned by immigrants might have other challenges as well, and some of it might have to do with not having the necessary paperwork readily available at times. But is there a system that we can help immigrant-owned businesses in maybe tracking down relevant information that they just can't access in a timely manner, and that paperwork might help them with a grant or a small business loan or some type of technical assistance?
I appreciate that question, because what we saw at the height of the pandemic is that a lot of small businesses weren't even able to apply for the grants at the federal level, city level, state level, because they might have been missing, a certificate of good standing from the Secretary of State's office or something like that. And because they didn't have it, they lost out on $25,000. And so, one of the things that Alicia brought up in her presentation and some of her answers is even about the neighborhood business managers who are out in the community who are talking and working directly with businesses. I mean, they're essentially operating as case managers. They are, with every single business that they're interacting with, are helping walk them through the process, sitting down with them. But it also, I know that these hearings are to talk about the work that city departments are doing, but I think it's incredibly important to talk about the relationships that we're building with external partners, because 16 people for small business in a city that has 40,000 businesses, small businesses, 7 of them dedicated to getting out there to support 40,000 small businesses. Not a lot of capacity on the city side, and honestly, we could find several $1 billion for the city budget. It still would not help meet the need. And so I say all that to say that we are working with groups like the Coalition for an Equitable Economy, Small Business Strong, major organizations that, CEE is a compilation and an alliance of hundreds of small business providers across the state, many of them here in Boston, who, when I was at BECMA, we were also out on the street working with people to kind of fill in the capacity that the city didn't have. And so those partnerships are critical to any of the success that we're talking about today and we'll be talking about in the future. It's these external organizations that are helping us meet the need.
Thank you, Chief. I have no further questions, and I thank you for bringing up to the support you're providing to veterans as well. But just want to say thank you, Chief, to your staff and your team for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. And I just have a few more questions. You named that, funding is one of the top issues for businesses. Is there like a reason why small businesses are not accessing the funding? Is it credit? Is it the revenue that they're producing inside of their business? What are some of the reasons why they're not able to access?
Well, I appreciate that question, but this is one that always gets me in trouble because, somebody had to remind me, you're not the president of BECMA anymore. You can't be talking like that. Many businesses have a problem of any hue or shape or color, have a problem accessing capital. And it can be due to credit. It can be they don't know where to go. It can be that the loan has too much interest and they're not willing to take that risk. Or that they're just not willing to get a loan in general, particularly folks of color who, the collapse of the financial of our system in 2008, last year, all signal to us why we should, don't want to get loans. So, but when it comes to Black and brown people in particular, when I was in my previous role, I used to always say it's not about access to capital, it's about the dispersal of capital. We know where the money is. It's that the money is not awarded to us or given to us, non-city funds, private funds. A lot of it is that some people don't see us as a worthwhile investment. I mean, many small businesses fail within the first 5 years. For some reason, there's something particular where people don't have a lot of faith in the fact that Black or brown businesses, or even women-owned businesses, will succeed. They receive the least amount of venture capital funding in the country. Women, I think, are both women and people of color below 1% in terms of venture capital funding. I often say, you will not find a Black Adam Newman. Adam Newman could walk in a room and get several $1 billion to start WeWork. A Black person would go in and might walk out with a check for a couple of $1,000s, and Black or brown. They're given people are given license to fail that Black and brown entrepreneurs are not. Adam Newman, WeWork, all that stuff happened. Just last week got announced getting major investment, $250 million, the largest investment that that firm has ever given. But so part of it is, yes, the credit. Part of it is, yes, if the source that we might or might not be going to. Some of it has to do with a lack of trust in Black or brown entrepreneurs. And I know here at the city, since we've, even before our being here, I have to give credit to Natalia Erdebe, who led small business prior to Alicia, and her team, and then the team now, who have made sure that any money that the city had, that definition I put up about equity, remained true, and that 60, 70% of the monies went to Black or brown businesses, because when they go other places, they don't get that same respect sometimes.
Right. And is there like a checklist or anything that we can, give to our small businesses, like good practices or good standards in order to, receive funding, or how we could put them in the best light when they're going and ask for seed money or investment?
So I'm happy to work with your team to help develop something like that, but I have to be honest, some of the work that we're doing on our side is not about looking at the business owner and saying there's something wrong with you. It's looking at the folks who control the system and saying there's something wrong with you and how you have set it up. And so it is I meet with bank presidents regularly in this role, which, they wouldn't do in my previous role. But anyway, I meet with them, regularly now, talking about, are there ways for us to think about a loan product where you're not taking credit into consideration, where you're not forcing a business to provide collateral? I think of the work that Malia Lazu did when she was the president of the Eastern Berkshire Bank, where she introduced a number of programs. Chief among them was the Friends and Family Fund, where $20,000 loan, 0% interest, no collateral. And it was called the Friends and Family Fund because most Black and brown people don't have friends or family to give them loans of whatever amount. If we're going to talk about an $8 net worth, not a lot to go by to help someone start their business. So there's a number of things that we're doing on the other side of the equation to try to remove restrictions. So much how we're talking about removing barriers on the permitting or regulatory side, same conversation we're having with folks in the private sector about what they could be doing. If you want to hit your numbers, if you want to actually get this money out there, you can't copy and paste a program and say, oh, well, because there's more money, it's going to get out there. It's like there's a reason we weren't getting the money to begin with, right? And so, anyway, long tangent to say, yes, we can do that, but it's also talking to those folks and saying, not all of this stuff is necessary.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I love that you guys are pushing that forward and trying to get more banks to invest into our businesses. And I love the idea that you guys are going around walking and talking to people in the QR code, that instant access, and then also sitting down with our small business owners and filling out the paperwork. Is that happening often? Is that happening on site, or are they coming in to City Hall? Like, can you talk to me about how that part of the process is going?
So we're looking to do that more in FY23. So now our business managers meet with businesses in the community, and so they're able to go through information during that time. And then we also have the Main Streets who are able to kind of review information, and a lot of them have been doing that already with business owners.
And if I can just add to that to say that I've been talking with Chief Masso Chief of Human Services about establishing a partnership with the libraries and with BCYF centers as other locations that our business managers and any others that we're partnered with can meet with small business owners. Because especially for the libraries, Councilor Flynn brought up not everyone has a computer.
Right.
But all of our libraries have computer labs. And so if we're able to help a business, get them to the library, walk them through the process there, those are things we're looking at right now.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. I just envision like the Comcast guy coming over with his tablet and signing you up right there for Comcast, right? I mean, if we could do the same thing for our small businesses, whether it's, helping them fill out that credit application or that, loan application or technical assistance support, we'd love to see our, business liaisons equipped with iPads going business to business and just...
Well, I mean, if the council wants to approve a budget line item for iPads, I will not.
Listen, digital equity, right?
That's right.
Digital equity. Councilor Mejia, any further questions?
Yes, I have a question and just a quick comment. So the great thing about these opportunities, right, is because it gives us the insight that we need so that when we're crafting up ideas and policies, we're actually listening to the people who are doing the work. Because I always talk about those who are living the realities or doing the work know best, right? And I can sit here and throw grenades all day, but I'm not out here in the front lines like you are, right? So it's important for us to be in constant dialogue. So I really do appreciate these opportunities. And then the other thing that I would say is that I could call out the reality of what we know is in Boston, which is racism, and why those who have continued to have, and those who have not have been working really hard to get a little bit of that pie, right? So I also really do appreciate your intentionality around leaning in around the race issue, because that's what this is really all about, is communities of color have been shut out of opportunities to grow and thrive here. And the barriers that we have created have prevented people from prospering economically, right? And so I can say that. And I do so knowing that with great responsibility, with great, whatever they call it. Yeah, I'm not just saying it to say it, but the idea is that once you know better, you do better, right? And so like my hope is that as we continue to have these conversations is that we're courageous around what this means and how we're going to hold not only the city accountable, but those who are doing business in the city of Boston. There are a lot of businesses who are profiting off the backs of Black and brown people. And they also need to be called into this chamber and say, what have you done for us lately, right? So not everything can just be about what the city can do, but where's the business community and how we're going to hold them to task in terms of the barriers that they create, which are like the banks, right? And other folks, landlords who make it extremely difficult for people to be able to rent here in the city of Boston to have a business. So I think that all of that needs to be part of the conversation. And so as we continue to move this forward, it's really important for us to hold ourselves accountable to what it is that we're going to do with the information that we're hearing in this space. And I'm really excited. It warmed my heart whenever you talk about being, a daughter of immigrants, right? Because I had to help my mom fill out every single application. And sometimes I didn't even know what I was talking about, right? And she wasn't a business owner, but still, that's a lot, right? For immigrant businesses in particular, and many who come to this country with a great idea and nothing else other than just a passion for their craft. And to be able to try to set up a business here in the city of Boston, and then you're met with zoning, right? You are met with all the things you can't do. So I go back again to, as we start thinking about these conversations, who is not in this chamber that is contributing to the barriers that our businesses are facing? And that sometimes falls out of your realm. And I think that that accountability is really important for the city as you all start thinking about kind of like inclusive, like bringing everybody into this chamber to talk about how we're going to remove those barriers. So I just want to uplift that it can't just fall on you, Chief. Like this has to be 360, and that includes the council in terms of how we partner with you all in addressing some of these inequities. So all that rambling just to get to my question. But you guys are here for it, right? Mm-hmm. So the question is, this is in regards to, from the Institute, the Justice Report that we've been talking about, called Barriers to Businesses, expressed that we rank low on accessibility around providing step-by-step guidelines on how to navigate these rules. And I get calls from people like, what does this mean? And why can't I do this? And, it's difficult. It's like trying to crack the Da Vinci Code, okay? What is your team doing to bridge this gap and develop a one-stop shop, right, for anyone from any community to access information that they need on their journey towards entrepreneurship? Like, I really kind of want to get in the weeds a little bit more, because this is one of the things that I hear so much from people who are trying to establish a business or even maintain their business, is that it is like trying to crack the Da Vinci Code to get any type of service. So can you just talk to us a little bit about kind of what you all are doing to help address that?
Yeah, well, a piece of that, so first I'll say I'll leave it to the Institute for Justice, and, appreciate them for meeting with us a few weeks ago to talk more about the report itself and get behind the numbers and information that was in the report, since it covered many cities across the country. So I'll leave it to them to talk about kind of the steps and how they got to where they got. But I will say part of the answer to this question is the group that we brought together, because as you mentioned, there are a number of different departments that contribute to, whether it's the permitting, licensing, et cetera, and so, it's not a small business thing, right? It's a City of Boston thing. Mm-hmm. And so that group is meeting to talk about how do we streamline the process, and whether or not some things are needed or can be done away with, especially after the pandemic. A lot of what we take into account too is like, during the pandemic, we were able to say, oh, we don't need that actually, right, to make things easier. So the question becomes, well, do we need to re-implement it now that we're emerging out of COVID, So anyway, it's the meeting that we're doing on a regular basis is our way of streamlining the process. And then to your point about guides, I know that for all programming they're putting together now, that is something that's being taken into account. As we're developing new programs and initiatives, we are putting together step by step. It's going to take a little work to go backwards and cover, other things that came before us, but we are, taking that feedback into account.
That's great. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious, who are the community business leaders that are involved in that group alongside you all as you start navigating through this process? Do you have business owners that are working alongside your office or this group to inform?
So we are in touch with outside external groups, but this is an internal group of folks to go through, all the processes, procedures, policies, and talk amongst themselves about how to address it. Yeah.
And I would just encourage, as at some point, right, we start thinking about kind of like these external stakeholders to help inform some of that thinking as you all continue to, to do this work. Because what you're doing on the inside may be totally different than what's happening on the outside. And so kind of bringing those people into the fold could be really helpful. To inform some of that thinking. So, I always got people lined up ready to talk about anything. Right. So, holla at me because I got you.
Well, so I will say, I think it is important, though, to have the internal working group. Yeah. But to your point, one of the commitments I made coming in here, because I would complain about it when I was on the other side, was about how the city would just do a thing, right, and then maybe call you the day before and say, hey, can you take a look at this? Because we're having a press conference tomorrow. So so what I would envision, without having said anything to the team here, is that this working group is working, like putting together recommendations that would then be presented to an external group of partners to say, are we on the right track?
Yeah, what are we missing?
Right.
What can we do differently? Right. And that should be a process, so it would not be the day before the press release comes out, right?
Exactly.
That we'll have some guidelines in terms of kind of how we're going to engage community folks in that process, because that's what I hear all the time. Things are being done to us without us, so I think, we would love to be able to help support that.
Well, I appreciate you raising that.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Mejia. And thank you to the administration for all your hard work. I'm looking forward to continue working in collaboration to, invest in our small businesses, tear down barriers, to create thriving and vibrant neighborhoods. So thank you for all the work that you guys do.
Thank you,
Thank
Councilor.
you.
Thank you.
Are they leaving? Y'all leaving?
We are here for 15.
Okay. Because
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Because we're training, we're swapping out?
Yeah, we're swapping out. We're going to
Okay.
have now be joined by
The
panel two.
community panel.
Yes.
All right. That means y'all got to go then.
I know, yeah.
Just joking. All right.
So now we'll be joined with, panel two, Carlos Castillo, Nick Korn, and Alex Montgomery. Please join us. Yes, he
He
is.
came in person. I thought he was going to be in Zoom. Is that good to you?
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Yes, sir. Do we have Spencer Watson online?
Is he part of this panel? Okay, let me just confirm. I think we were going to do Zoom, but thank you for coming in person.
Yes.
We appreciate you. Thank you. We tried to give you a pass and you didn't take it. This could have been your get out of the be in the chamber free card, but you chose.
One thing that's so great for, we couldn't even do, so basically, small business, one of our managers on vacation, she's back tomorrow.
Okay.
So she can enjoy life, right?
Well, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here in person. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you to Carlos Castillo, a local business owner. Also joined here by Nick Korn, an advocate from Offsite, and Alex Montgomery from the Institute for Justice and the author of the Barriers to Business Report. And we're also joined online by Spencer Watson, Executive Director of the Center for LGBTQ Economic Advancement and Research. So we'll start off with opening remarks from Carlos Castillo, followed by Alex, and then Nick, and then Spencer.
So Carlos Castillo, born and raised in Boston. We run a few different types of businesses, mostly real estate. We are also in the liquor store, package store business in Roxbury, and now newly in cannabis. So a lot of experience around the hurdles of working with the city and in immigrant communities. I had a lot of folks that asked me, I want to start a business, I want to do this, or I'm in this jam. How can I get through this hurdle? And I think I missed the first session, so I don't want to be redundant, but I think when I walked in, when you were talking about in terms of barriers, this city has so many opportunities, right? And it's offering to help in so many different directions, but I don't know if it's all streamlined. Like if you did want to open a barbershop, where do you make your first phone call? And is that, to an attorney that you can trust? It's not going to take you for a ride if this is your first rodeo. And what kind of entity you want to set up. So when I think about, opening a small business in Boston, I don't just think about, what kind of business. I think about the structure, who you call, everything from the beginning. And so I don't know if the city's offices are set up to really say, okay, start here. Mm-hmm. And then, if you want to have a barbershop, if you want to have a restaurant, if you want to have, a real estate office or any other kind of business, start here, and then, we'll guide you to this point, that point, and the other point. And so I feel like if you're in a certain industry, you know which department to go to. But if you don't know, you just don't know. And I don't know that all the departments talk to one another. Do you need to go to zoning if it's already zoned for what you want to use that property for? Or do you even know what the zoning is? What does zoning mean? Right? And who do I ask? And that's even a question that seasoned business people ask themselves, hey, let me find out who it's zoned for. If they have an attorney that's good at it, they can reach out to them, but if they don't, and if English is, your second language, then it becomes even more challenging.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. We'll go to Mr. Montgomery.
Thank you, Councilor Worrell, for the opportunity to testify at today's hearing on regulatory barriers to business in Boston. And thank you, Councilor Mejia, for co-sponsoring and for really caring about these issues. My name is Alex Montgomery. I'm the City Policy Associate at the Institute for Justice. The Institute, or IJ, is a national nonprofit that works with entrepreneurs and policymakers in cities across the country to enact meaningful regulatory reform. Our goal is to streamline rules for getting a business off the ground to create a more accessible path to entrepreneurship. Starting a small business in Boston, it can be a daunting experience, especially for the city's most vulnerable residents, many of whom we've spoken to do the research for this report. The process is bogged down by steep fees, protracted delays, bureaucratic complexity. Entrepreneurs tell us that they often receive little guidance on how and in what order to complete the steps to get to opening day. It doesn't have to be this way, though. You shouldn't need a law degree to start the small business of your dreams. And city officials, from council to the agencies, have an opportunity and the obligation to make a difference, to enact reforms that make it cheaper, faster, and simpler to open up shop. So I am the co-author of a recent IJ study, Barriers to Business, that examined the regulatory hurdles for aspiring small business owners in cities. And the report found that these barriers are especially problematic here in Boston. For example, Bostonians who plan to start a restaurant will have to complete 92 steps before opening day. The average across the 20 cities we looked at, which included cities like San Francisco and Seattle and Philadelphia, that average was 61 steps. Those include 22 forms to file, 17 in-person compliance activities such as inspections and notarizing paperwork. And starting a small restaurant means having to pay more than $5,500 in compliance costs to government coffers. So Barriers to Business reviewed rules to start 5 common business types, from restaurants to barbershops to retail stores in 20 cities across the country. The report identified regulatory roadblocks in the code, but it also mapped out and quantified the process to get up and running from a small business owner's point of view. And so analysis of Boston's regulation showed that Bostonians often contend with more bureaucracy, more fees, more delays, more requirements than entrepreneurs looking to start the same types of businesses in other cities. 81 steps to open a barbershop, compared to an average 55 in other cities. 9 agencies involved in procedures for starting a food truck, compared to an average 7. And let's be clear about the effect of this regulatory regime. Barriers to business fall hardest on underserved communities, such as immigrants, those who have big dreams but little capital and connections, who don't have the funds to hire lawyers and expediters. So besides complex red tape, Barriers to Business finds that Boston City websites do a poor job of guiding entrepreneurs through the regulatory process. Out of 5 one-stop shop criteria, for example, Boston's website only satisfies a single one. Minneapolis's and Philadelphia's sites satisfy 3, San Francisco's satisfies 4. Looking for answers to compliance questions, applicants find themselves getting shuffled between different agencies and offices. Time spent navigating bureaucracy is time that could have otherwise been invested in getting their new venture off the ground. So the good news is that Boston officials are not alone in thinking through ways to alleviate regulatory barriers to business. Throughout the COVID era, cities have sought regulatory relief and flexibility for their small business communities as a way to encourage essential economic development and job creation. In DC, for example, the Maine licensing agency recently streamlined business license rules. They identified licenses with similar submission and documentation requirements, and they collapsed them. Officials in Detroit are rethinking zoning to allow more uses by right. Minneapolis has an entire webpage dedicated to sharing resources with entrepreneurs and helping applicants understand the rules. Just as Carlos was talking about before, a webpage where this is how you get started in the city of Minneapolis, this is where you start, and this is how you go through the process. Miami's new licensing tool, eStart, is a shining example of how to combine paperwork while providing user-friendly guides in one navigable online portal. So by learning from these best practices, Boston officials really have the opportunity to make a difference. And the Institute for Justice recommends that to truly make it cheaper, faster, and simpler to be an entrepreneur in Boston and to start a business, we recommend that council and the agencies reduce fees for permits and licenses, passing targeted fee reduction to really focus on lowering burdensome costs, especially for building permits and food licenses, creating step-by-step online guides, publishing new business-specific process guides, and consolidating information about the entire regulatory process in a more organized fashion, and then streamlining that process to review existing procedures to identify opportunities for more efficiency, which hearing about the work that Director Porsena and Chief Udowu are doing is so critical to that, and we're super excited to continue to collaborate with them to kind of review those processes to identify opportunities to streamline. So embracing these reforms will not only bring Boston in line with its peer cities, it's going to empower job creators, it's going to empower economic development, but more importantly, it's going to establish an equitable playing field for entrepreneurs from all neighborhoods and jurisdictions, and it'll protect everybody's fundamental right to earn an honest living and to start a business to provide for themselves and their families.
Thank you. Now go to Mr. Corn.
Thank you to the City Council and to the Chair for providing me this opportunity to speak on a very important issue. My name's Nick Corn. I'm a small business owner. I'm a resident of Boston, and I'm a board member of Mass Restaurants United. I'm here today because I've spent the last year interviewing dozens of restaurant operators regarding the process of opening their businesses. I'll defer to the honorable representatives from the city government that we heard from before and to my co-panelists from the Institute of Justice for their respective expertise on the systems that we have in place here in the city of Boston and for suggestions on improving those systems. So I'll focus specifically on restaurants. In Boston, as in so many cities, it's our restaurants, especially our minority and immigrant-owned restaurants, that play an important role in making the city an amazing place to live, to work, and to do business. But the delays, complexities, and costs of opening discussed in the report are all exacerbated by institutionalized racism and structures of privilege, resulting in even more barriers to business for immigrant and minority-owned businesses. Let us not forget that among the 20 cities that the report evaluates, Boston has the most number of steps for an aspiring restaurant owner, 92. That's a damning first place position. I'd like to use the rest of my time to just share the words of some of the diverse operators that we interviewed that make up some of the fabric of the city. An operator in Roxbury told us, quote, "The process is terrifying and disorienting. It feels like you're in a casino and the city is the house. You can't figure out the game and they won't tell you the rules." An operator in the South End told us, "I'm very fortunate. I'm a well-to-do upper middle class guy. I went to a good college. I'm white passing, and it became very evident to me no matter what reputation or career in restaurants I have had as a young entrepreneur, if I wanted to open my own restaurant in Boston, it would be basically impossible to do so alone without partnering with people who have navigated this before." An operator in downtown told us, quote, "It almost seems that Boston does not want you to open a business here. I'm trying to open a business to employ people, feed people, pay taxes, and create something interesting in the city instead of a chain restaurant. Why is it so hard?" Another operator in Roxbury told us, quote, "I wish that the city had a dedicated person that I could talk to about this process. I ended up finding this one person at the city, my go-to person, but this wasn't their job. And sometimes it took a while. They were busy, and I understood that." In summation, the process of opening a restaurant in Boston is cumbersome, confusing, capital intensive, relying on English language proficiency, and often hinges on some combination of luck and political acumen. The city can and should do more. We can streamline the system, eliminate redundancies, increase language accessibility, and provide support, guidance, funding, and technical assistance to help folks open businesses. I believe small business is the engine of economic development and that we should prioritize supporting diverse, aspiring small business owners to open their dream businesses here in Boston by mitigating the barriers to business. I'm encouraged that the chair and the council are taking up this issue. Thank you for including me in the process, and please let me know how else I can be helpful in this important work. And to Councilor Mejia's point, if Chief Idowu is looking for external collaborators, call me up.
Thank you. Do we have Spencer Watson online?
Can you hear me?
I think I heard something.
Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, great. Thank you. Well, thank you to Chair Worrell and Councilor Mejia and the Boston City Council for inviting me today. My name is Spencer Watson, and I am the Executive Director of the Center for LGBTQ Economic Advancement and Research, or CLEAR.
Mr. Watson, can you give us a second because we could barely hear you inside of the chambers? All right. Mr. Watson, the floor is now yours.
Thank you very much. So again, thank you to Chair Worrell, Councilor Mejia, and the Boston City Council for having me today. My name is Spencer Watson, and I am the Executive Director for CLEAR, which is the Center for LGBTQ Economic Advancement and Research. CLEAR is a national nonprofit, and we perform research and advocacy around the economic well-being and financial issues for LGBTQ households, organizations, and communities. My testimony today will be discussing why withholding business licenses because of unpaid fines and fees, as well as burdensome licensing processes, particularly affect communities of color, women, LGBT people, and low-income people. So according to data that CLEAR has analyzed from the Federal Reserve's Survey of Household Economics and Decision-Making, in 2021, Black and Latino households were over twice as likely to have unpaid legal costs, fines, or fees as white households, 5% versus 2%. Female households were also more likely to have unpaid legal costs, 3% versus 2% of male households. And LGBTQ households were also more likely to be burdened, 4% versus 3% of non-LGBTQ households. Low-income people were particularly affected, and so 8% of households earning under $25,000 a year had unpaid legal costs that they were still struggling with. Over-policing is a key contributor to the burden of fines and fees on marginalized communities. The Pew Research Center has found that Black adults are 5 times more likely to say that they've been unfairly stopped by police because of their race, 44% versus 9% of white adults. And the Prison Policy Initiative reports that Black people and people who are poor are more likely to be arrested and to be arrested repeatedly. Also, LGBTQ people are over twice as likely to be arrested. 1 in 6 trans people have been incarcerated at some point in times in their life, and 47% of Black trans people have been incarcerated. The overcriminalization of marginalized and low-income people leaves them more frequently with legal fines, fees, and debts after their experiences with the criminal justice system. Small businesses are critical. They create local jobs, community spaces, and provide essential goods and services. But data from the Federal Reserve Bank's Small Business Credit Survey shows that firms who are owned by minorities, women, and LGBTQ people are more likely to be smaller, have smaller revenues, and to struggle to obtain financing. Marginalized groups need more equity in the small business community, and costly, lengthy, or burdensome licensing processes can be prohibitive to aspiring business owners owned by people from marginalized communities. Thank you again for inviting me today, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. And now we'll go to rounds of questioning. Give each of us
30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah.
Just, all right, we won't set the timer. So my question is to the panel. Just want to, if we're going to be doing this work and making policy changes, what are some good indicators, metrics, data we should be collecting as a city to making sure that, we're addressing these burdens and making sure that the public has this information? So, yep, to anyone.
I guess the biggest metric would be the percentage of vacancies that you have in your city for storefront and retail locations. If you can go into any neighborhood, look at what's happening in downtown Crossing, look at what's happening in Newton Square, where we're already fighting, the Amazon businesses, the delivery businesses. There's an article that came out not too long ago calling out dark stores, where people are renting storefront locations in key neighborhoods, but they're not open to the public, right? And so they're just doing delivery. So that also changes the landscape. So if I were tracking how we're doing as a city, I would be looking at how many retail locations are filled, right, with actual traditional retail businesses, restaurants that are servicing those neighborhoods versus dark stores, so that you have a true indicator of, how you're filling the city's needs.
Well, I think that a couple things that the city should definitely be collecting is more information on the time that it takes to go through the regulatory process. So we wanted to study that for our Barriers to Business report, but too much of the timetables that the city holds itself to are either not available for the public to just be able to hold the city account to, or the city oftentimes just doesn't make those timetables, and they don't factor in things like the entrepreneur not understanding the process correctly because the process was poorly explained, or the entrepreneur not having the correct supporting documentation for a permit or license. So it's really difficult to have comprehensive data on how long the process actually takes. Some entrepreneurs have told us that it can take many months or even years to get started in cities. And so we'd like to see the city kind of, hold itself to account and have better data to answer that question. And then the second thing that I would point to is really better understanding how all of these kinds of regulatory barriers affect communities of color, because we just don't have that data. An example of that is, we've looked at what we call the clean hands requirement in Boston, which is that you have to not owe the city any money in order to proceed with licenses and permits. Sometimes it's enforced by city agencies, and sometimes it isn't enforced by city agencies, but it's up to the agency. And, we need better information about how that's actually enforced in Boston, but we don't have it because it's just unclear, what the numbers are and who is actually being permitted prohibited from getting permits based on owing even small amounts of debt to the city. So that's another kind of example, but I think that applies to every single thing that we're thinking about. Is there just needs to be better information on the impact that these rules have on communities of color here.
And I was a young entrepreneur starting off one day, and I just remember just asking questions. I wasn't really directed to any specific site. It was Google. That was my best friend at the time to start a business. It was trial and error. That was my best friend starting a business. But I would love to hear from you, Mr. Castillo, as a young entrepreneur, how did you navigate the process, or how did you come across, the resources or technical assistance that was there, or that's here in the city of Boston, or did you just have to figure it out on your own?
So I actually got lucky in that department. So luck has a little bit to do with it. So I was born in Roxbury, I grew up in Dorchester. You guys know where I'm from. But a lot of folks that work at like 1010 or in the city are also from those neighborhoods. So when I graduated from college and I started working in construction management, I spent a lot of time at ISD at 1010. So I actually got to know a lot of folks there just doing permitting for the construction projects that I was working on. And that's when I realized, I would spend, at first, when you're right out of college and you don't know anything, because we think we know stuff, but we really don't at 22, I would spend sometimes 6 or 7 hours at 1010 myself. So in just a matter of time, I figured out that Boston Fire Department doesn't talk to the Certificate of Occupancy Department. Don't get them both confused, because they don't like that either. And this is, going back 16 years ago. It may have changed a little bit now, but not so much. So for me, that was an advantage, learning how to pull permits. And that's why I can tell you that for the average person, it's so cumbersome, because you don't know what you need. And then every time you turn around, you need an additional permit. So you set up your LLC, right? You have your business insurance, your lawyer told you that's all you need. You get your license from the city. Oh wait, now you want to open up a bank account, and now you need a business certificate from the city. Well, what's that? Or you need this. So before you could run your business with 3 or 5 permits, now you need like 8 or 9 that are all annual fees to what you were talking about earlier. So I think I got lucky by knowing that other folks that can find a great attorney that have already gone through that, that'll help them. But for the most part, is where do you find that attorney?
Right.
You know, who is that person? You know, if you Google, you get 100 people. Has the city vetted certain attorneys or even, you know, bookkeepers and all that to say, hey, you know, these guys are, you know, going to work with you. They know the city process. I would start there, or they can refer you to somebody so that at least, you know, if you come to the city, they can refer you to an attorney. They can refer you to bookkeepers, accountants, and they can kind of guide you in that direction. At least that could be a starting point for most people versus Google. I mean, we are, you know, in the Google generation, so we can look that up, but Google can send you to somebody in Framingham, you know, to come and do something in Boston. And if you don't know and it's a familiar name, and let's say you're, you know, Spanish or bilingual or Portuguese, and you find a name that you think they speak, you know, your native tongue, then you're probably going to call and drive, you know, to Chelsea, drive to Lawrence, or drive to Framingham, just to be able to find somebody that can speak to you to do business in Boston.
Yes, no, great, thank you, Mr. Castillo. Does anyone else want to?
Take one. So I think the point here that Mr. Castillo is making and that we're all sort of talking about is that the Institute of Justice report does a great job of delineating the steps, delineating the costs, but there's so many additional steps, so much additional time, and so many sort of phantom costs. You talk about an attorney, an expediter, so there's all these additional costs on top of just the amount of money that is going straight to the city, not to mention the time spent going to 1010 Mass Ave and spending hours there. So there's all these...
rent in the meantime, just to hold your place, that's another, you know.
Right.
So there's all these phantom costs, whether it's the time spent or paying for specialists or other professional services, right? Fundamentally, the system should make sense so that a person who can open a business can navigate it without having to pay for an additional professional service.
Thank you for that. And why do you, Mr. Montgomery, focused on barriers to business? Why do you think it's essential to focus on the costs, delays, and the complexity of the process for starting a business here in Boston?
Councilor Worrell, I've worked on these kinds of issues in cities across the country, and I'm frankly tired of hearing executive agency staff talk about technical assistance when there are 92 steps to start. Helping somebody understand 92 steps is one way to approach it, or cutting the 92 steps is another way. It should be an all above board approach. You know, it's not enough to do walkthroughs through communities when you're not helping those entrepreneurs actually affect the policy, the regulatory policy that the city is pursuing. Walkthroughs are so important, technical assistance is so important, but regulatory reform is needed too. And so I think that why do we focus on the cost, delays, and complexity? Because that's what entrepreneurs have told us is what really makes it difficult to deal with the city in many cases. And you know, they were entrepreneurs that we've talked to have brought up consistently those three themes of, you know, it's the delays that are caused by not understanding how the process works because the process isn't clear. It's the cost that you have to pay. I mean, in many cases, we're talking about micro businesses having to invest thousands of dollars before they even know if the business model will work. And then the complexity is, you know, what Carlos is talking about, what Nick is talking about, just the sheer number of steps and forms. So I think the reason we really wanted to focus on cost, delays, and complexity is because we really want to bring this to council's attention that it's not just a matter of technical assistance. Every single city in the country is trying to figure out how to do technical assistance better. But what really can make a difference is not just helping people navigate the system that exists, it's about making the system better itself. It's about enacting the policies that will make the system better itself. And then also doing the technical assistance because that is a key part.
So, you know, alongside of the question of what he just answered, the reason the time is so important is because these businesses have limited capital. So if you have 50 grand or 100 grand to start a bakery, and I'm actually working with a lady, I haven't met her in person. Somebody said, call him to see if he can put you in touch with somebody. She's getting ready to open up a bakery in Dorchester, but she's run out of money because the time period of carrying this place, paying rent, buying equipment, paying contractors, because she's out of money. And it's not like she owns a real estate where a bank's going to give her financing. A lot of these businesses that are paying rent, they're not necessarily financeable in just the way the banking systems work. And I think the city does a great job of providing some technical assistance and trying to find some funds with the new administration, with you guys that, are really, also previously small business owners, so you get it. But the time period, people don't know how long it's going to take. If you don't know how long it's going to take, how can you plan and budget for that? If you can say, hey, if you're going to open up a barbershop, it should take you 10 weeks, then you calculate into your budget 10 weeks. But if it takes 20 weeks and you calculated 10, and other things happen during construction or in other delays, now how do you account for that? And so by really having a system that looks at, we should be able to ask the city and say, if I want to open up a barbershop, a restaurant, a nail salon, or, let's say a pickup and drop off, dry cleaners, or any of these services that make neighborhoods essentials, a grocery store, that you should be able to say it should take from the city side, permit-wise, 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever the time is, so that it's known ahead of time. And if it takes longer than that, obviously with contingencies depending on construction. But from our perspective, once you've done ABC, you'll be able to open in 10 weeks. Now, if there are delays beyond that on your end, you own that as an entrepreneur. But if you're being delayed on the city side because of policy, procedures, or disconnects, then, that's where we're set up for failure.
Yes. And I turned off my mic earlier, so thank you for bringing me back online. So, wow, right? I want to start off with something you just said in terms of like a time frame and a timeline, right? If we can start off with like, okay, it's going to take us 10 weeks for you to do X, Y, and Z. At some point, right, there needs to be some accountability on the city end. If we don't do what we need to do to help you facilitate that process, where are we going to take the hit? And I think that when we start putting some dollars behind that, so the city says, okay, 5% for every week that we delay you from being able to open up the doors is 5% that we're going to invest in your business. Now that's crazy talk, right? And I know this is probably going to go viral and go rewind. But if there is some sort of mechanism where we're holding the city accountable and ourselves accountable to helping to support these small businesses, then you might be able to expedite the process a lot quicker. But there's no checks and balances here because all of the impact is left on the shoulders of the small businesses. And this is why we're having this hearing here, so that we can identify what's going to give and take to make sure that the burden doesn't always fall on the small business, the entrepreneur, which is, to me, I think, where the opportunity lies. And I want to talk a little bit about the cannabis industry, which is, I know this is not the hearing for cannabis in particular, but what I have known in my 2.5 years here in office is that that is one of the major roadblocks for a lot of businesses who are looking to open up shop, is that they're going through zoning, they're holding up their commercial space. And so can you just talk to us a little bit about that specific area of like roadblocks that folks in the cannabis industry are facing right now?
So I think from when cannabis started, several years ago at this point, right? It's funny to say that. Several years ago, yet there are only 5 or 6 open in the city of Boston. Mm-hmm. So I think we've come a long way. If we go back, there were a million barriers, right? The city was trying to figure out how to handle this cannabis industry. I mean, there wasn't even a cannabis board. So now there is one. Now the process seems a little bit clearer, but there's still so many hurdles, right? Because even if you go to the cannabis board, you do have zoning requirements and you may not get the zoning. And, it's a check and balance. You may get through cannabis, but you may not get through zoning, and different departments are paying attention to different things. Just because you got through one doesn't mean you're going to get through the other, and that kind of protects neighborhoods. So I understand that process. But I think the timeline of it, it's really important, especially in cannabis, because you mentioned the word cannabis, and your rent is 3 times market rent. Your HVAC equipment is 3 times market rate. Your electrician is charging you 3 times. So it's almost like because people assume that you're going to make money when you get into cannabis, they're trying to get as much as they can. And at one point I said, everybody's making money in cannabis except for us that are trying to open the cannabis place. All the ancillary parts of getting you there, all the consultants, all the people that you hire to get through the process, they're all cashing in along the way, but yet you're not open. And so I think if we merge the cannabis board and zoning and the city councilor's offices and the neighborhood groups, then we really can kind of streamline that process. I think we're headed in that direction, but you guys haven't come as one yet, and I think that's the real hurdle.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I'm curious, I'm not sure where this came from, which one of you said it, but you were talking a little bit about the recommended vendors. Like right now in the city, it's all in who you know, to be honest with you. Like if you know somebody, you make that call, and then that person calls and say, what's the delay with this? Like, to be honest with you, that is how things are working. And in order for us to fix the problem, we have to be able to name the problem, because it's all in who you know, especially in the industry, field. And so I'm curious, as you start thinking about ways that we can better close that gap, what would you say? Should the city put out a list of vendors and say, here are the folks? Because then those people are going to be making money, right? Like, should the city subsidize some of that technical assistance? Like, what would be the best way to kind of help these folks who are navigating through the city services to really get them from A to C or Z in a timely fashion? What would you say is kind of like the magic bullet to make that happen?
Yeah, so I think, I defer to the first panel and their technical assistant expertise. But I think to echo Mr. Montgomery's point, part of the issue is that the system is so complicated that you need these gatekeepers, you need these professional services to help you navigate it. And so pretty much when I spoke to restaurant operators, everyone said that either they paid someone to help them figure it out, or they lucked into having some sort of angel help them, like you said, who knows their way through it. So one way or the other, it's about who you know, and again, that continues to fall along lines of institutionalized racism and sort of structural inequities that are built into the way the city works.
All I was going to say was, I think Mr. Montgomery mentioned about other cities and their websites being a tool that people can go to and find all this information. So I think listing them is important, because that at least is a starting point. I mean, a few years ago in the restaurant business, and maybe you can co-sign on this, there was practically one attorney that did liquor licenses. Right now there may be 3, I think one's retired and passed on his practice to somebody else. There might be 4 total that in the whole city. If you want to get a liquor license, you go to these 4. I think Prince Lavelle just opened up a branch, right, that's going to be doing licensing, but before that, it was so that's less than a handful for the entire city.
Yeah, I wanted to echo that, because it is so essential for Boston to have a one-stop shop to start up. And if Boston has a one-stop shop, imagine that you're a first-time entrepreneur and you're going through the requirements that you have no option but to go through things like zoning and permitting. And then on the side of the website, you see, oh, look at these lists of programs that are available, to help me with some funding for an expansion that I was planning to do, or, can provide some more capital for X, Y, or Z. That kind of combining those kinds of services in one location can actually help first-time entrepreneurs who didn't know that those services existed. But without a one-stop shop, it's not likely that information is going to be shared very well, because entrepreneurs are going to be focused on their zoning and permitting, and they're going to have to hear through the grapevine that there's some other program available. And so one way to really approach that is to create a one-stop shop, and I think that Boston should look to some of the examples in other cities that the Barriers to Business report points out. Minneapolis has a really good website that combines technical assistance information with information on the process. And then Miami just created a new program that it calls eStart. And basically it allows you to file for both your zoning and your business licensing paperwork in one easy process. And then they've got all kinds of information on technical assistance and preferred vendors working with the city as well. So Boston should look to those examples.
Thank you for that. I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to Finish up, okay. One is that I would love also the city of Boston to create a page that's dedicated to folks like who have successfully managed to crack the Da Vinci Code successfully, right? And who could tell their stories. Because sometimes those who are really, like I always talk about, living the realities, know how to best overcome the hurdles. So I think hearing from experts and providing the one-stop shop, here's what it looks like, here's what I've gone through, those personal testimonies are really empowering and inspiring to other entrepreneurs. So I think that there should be some sort of like mechanism on that website that we're going to create that doesn't exist yet, that we're going to copy Minneapolis from. I think there should be some real life examples of successful entrepreneurs. I remember reaching out to Carlos. There was a woman who had reached out to me who is going to be getting some support and some funding to have a Black-owned mental wellness spa in the city of Boston. And I was like, wow, that's such a brilliant idea. And I was just going to try to help her identify how she can find a location. So I called Carlos, and then he started asking her 101 questions that I didn't know answers to either. I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed right now because I don't even know where to start with any of these things. And I think that was, for me, a wake-up call in terms of, like, there are so many people out here who have brilliant ideas, but they just don't know where to start, because even the question around the build-out and questions around looking at, like, the taxes and the insurance, like, all of that, I didn't take into account, right, because I haven't navigated that process. But just having that one conversation with you, every other conversation she had with potential landlords opened up her eyes. So then she knew what kind of questions to ask. And that was simple. And I think that we make this so much more complicated than what it needs to be, oftentimes, because just that like 20-minute conversation that she had with you, Carlos, like provided her a really good grounding of like her journey. So can you just talk to us about, I'm sure you've gotten lots of calls like that where you've had to coach and mentor other people, and kind of what have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned through that process?
So I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is that any business that's open is a miracle business, because you've gone through the hurdles of Boston and you're open. If you're there 5 years later, then you're a miracle business. But I think her questions or her situation was very typical of an entrepreneur starting out. Mm-hmm. And what you realize is that everybody has a dream, right? And I think everybody should have the opportunity to chase that dream, even if they don't necessarily accomplish it, so that the city's not a hurdle to you getting to your dream. That if you don't accomplish your dream, it's because of your own either lack of experience or your own effort. It's not the city's job to make your dream come true. It's only the city's job to facilitate it, mm-hmm. right? And I think she's an example of somebody who just hadn't gone through the process herself. So she didn't know where to start or what questions to have. And then it also matters like which landlord she gets, right? So it's a landlord who's gonna say, sign the lease, pay the rent, figure out what you want, or, here's the space, here's a discount until you get your certificate of occupancy, and then you'll go into your full month's rent. So there's so many ways that a person needs to get coached and talked to about opening a business, that maybe, having a business coach is something that you guys might want to add to that reference list so they know who to talk to. Somebody in each respective industry, at some point has come to the city for a permit, for help, for assistance, and so they should care enough to pay it forward and if called upon to share their experience. Yeah. So maybe adding that as, hey, this person has been in the same business that you want to get into, maybe they can share some, advice or guidance.
I'm really hoping that the previous panel will listen to all of the genius ideas that are coming out of here, because one thing that I did know is yes, we talk about language specific technical assistance, but I am very curious in terms of like our knowledge of industry and really being able to have those key stakeholders who can coaches that can walk you through the nuts and bolts of A to B. And I think external partners are really important, right? People who are doing the work, because the city doesn't have to be the end all and be all to everyone, right? They can liaison with other folks who have done it before and create opportunities for those folks to be able to coach others. So I think a peer-to-peer, like a buddy system, be great.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for Mr. Castillo, but I assume, like, you know, I don't think that any of my success so far as a small business owner is me alone. It's because of all the people who've been really generous with answering my questions and supporting me. And so I want to turn around and help. I want to answer those questions of the next small business owners who are coming up. So there's this like element of mentorship that is already built into the system. It obviously takes time, it takes effort, it's opportunity cost. If the city can somehow support Mr. Castillo's time to talk to folks,
Right.
to help them up, like that seems like a way that that we can close that gap and get some technical assistance that, like you said, is industry specific.
Yeah. So that's it. I keep saying I'm going to say one last thing, but this is the last thing that I will say, is that I really do appreciate you mentioning the fact that we should also pay people who are providing expertise, because we always have this expectation, right, that people are going to do things for free. I know I'm always asking for, oh my God, can you give me a donation? Can you all help me out with this, that, or the other? Yes. And I come from the nonprofit world. That's just the way we do things. But it is important for us to provide some sort of stipends and support to those folks who have the expertise and have been there, because they are trusted partners in that process. And then the city, I think that that's a brilliant idea, and I co-sign that, and we should talk about what that can look like.
Absolutely.
Or even just encouraging entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs to go and talk to business owners. I mean, he's right. I mean, I'm not where I am alone. I have a ton of mentors. You know, and I've had them. I realized mentoring was important from early age because I was forced to have mentors when I was younger, but I didn't know why. And so I'm a product of many mentors that I am still engaged with, so I could not be where I am in each industry. The one where I have the least amount of mentors, which is the most challenging, is in cannabis. And I consider Tomas a mentor. I'm always hounding him. He's been a mentor to a lot of us. But in any business that you're going to get into, you need a network, you need resources, and you need mentoring. Otherwise, you're not going to know what you don't know.
And I think if I can build on that, one more point is that, as Mr. Montgomery said, like the good news about the barriers to business and just the steps and the one-stop shop need is that basically what's happening in this city is happening in 19 other cities, right? There are great examples. We don't need to forge a new path. We can learn best practices from some other folks. So similarly, in the same way that an entrepreneur shouldn't have to navigate the system by themselves, the city of Boston also doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. We can look to our peer cities who've developed some better systems in order to develop a better system here.
Thank you. That's it.
That's it? All right.
Thank you.
I just have a couple more questions. One of the, things that we talked about a lot was the peer-to-peer and how important that is, because, filling out paperwork, sometimes when you fill out those permits, if you fill it out incorrectly, it could be a barrier down the road on something you're trying to do or want to do in your space. So when you're talking about the 92 steps, Mr. Montgomery, can you describe, is that just like paperwork, or is that sub-steps in between? Can you talk to us more about the 92 steps?
Yeah, absolutely. And also in my written testimony, I have some more information to share with both of your offices, so you can see where some of those numbers came from. But basically, it comes down to permits and licenses that you have to get, and then those permits and licenses usually have a number of sub-steps that are things like acquiring certain pieces of documentation that you have to submit along with that, which can be really, difficult and onerous to do in some cases. And then there are other steps like inspections and scheduling those. It's funny because you would think that, why would scheduling an inspection be its own step? Well, it's because, in many cases, scheduling an inspection is actually difficult to do because, it's not as simple as just, an automated process that, that happens as soon as you file something. Sometimes you actually have to call an inspector, and the inspector has a very limited, schedule and all that kind of stuff. So it's scheduling inspections, passing inspections, getting forms notarized. I mean, imagine if there's not a notary near where you live in your neighborhood, and then you have to pick up and go all the way downtown just to, have somebody watch you sign a piece of paperwork. So it's all those kinds of sub-steps, as you said, but it's also the primary steps of the forms and registrations. In many cases, certain kinds of businesses, particularly food businesses, have to get 4, 5, 6 different permits, and so that's really where those numbers came from.
Yeah, and digging into the report a little bit, just for food business, because you opened the door to food businesses. So restaurants have 22 forms that need to get filled out, and almost all those forms, and I can speak from experience, many of those forms have accompanying instructions, and those instructions are sometimes really difficult to navigate, even for a college-educated English language proficient person. And so essentially, like, the forms are complicated, the instructions for the forms and the sub-steps for the forms also all kind of like ladder up onto each other and all further amplify the differences between folks, the haves and the have-nots, and folks who have English language skills. I mean, it really just exacerbates a lot of the issues that the first panel was discussing.
Okay, and then I just want to give a question to Mr. Watson, is he still with us? Mr. Watson?
I am.
All right. Don't want to leave you out of the conversation. Are there any minority groups that are less likely to be aware of past fines or fees due to housing insecurity?
Yeah, so housing insecurity can make it really difficult for individuals to maintain a consistent mailing address for important communications, and so can make it really a lot more difficult for them to receive important notices about their legal proceedings or their financial accounts. And so because many marginalized groups do struggle more frequently with housing insecurity and housing discrimination and are more frequently likely to relocate, it can really affect their ability to receive those communications, and so they might be more likely to miss those important notices in order to manage the situation. And so I think just to highlight how the compounding effects of intersecting discrimination can affect folks. In 2020, 8% of transgender people reported that they had been homeless in the prior year, and over a third of, nearly 1/3 of trans people say that they have experienced homelessness at some point during their lives. And so this really does weigh much more heavily on marginalized communities such as the LGBTQ community, people of color, immigrant communities, and the women's community.
And then, we've heard so much about cost or your financial help, being a big part of starting a business. So given the cost and complexity of starting a business in Boston, many entrepreneurs, have to seek out, whether it's attorneys, surveyors, architects, designers, to help them get through this process. Do minority and LGBTQ business owners have the same access to these products, Mr. Watson?
Well, I think, some of the comments that the other participants have shared today, really point to the fact that minorities, women, LGBTQ entrepreneurs are not as able to access financial services or legal services. And this is in part because of wealth gaps that exist for those communities, which make it more difficult for them to maybe qualify for a financial product or service, or to afford a financial product or service or legal service. And also because mainstream institutions are not doing as effective of outreach to those communities in order to ensure that affordable products and services are making it into the hands of those folks. And so I think for instance, in a recent report that Clear released, we found that LGBTQ businesses who were working with large banks were also much more likely to report difficulties in even just working on basic applications and services with their bank. 98% said they had at least one or more challenge in working with their bank, such as an unaffordable loan that they were offered, difficulty accessing applications or navigating processes, and this was compared to only 68% of non-LGBTQ firms. And also, as I was pointing to, LGBTQ and minority-owned firms, women-owned firms are also more likely to be turned down for services when they go out into the market. And so LGBTQ businesses in 2021 were about as likely to apply for business financing, but they were much less likely to be approved. 46% of LGBTQ-owned businesses said that they had received none of the financing that they had applied for in the prior year, compared to only 34% of non-LGBTQ businesses. They were also more likely to apply for PPP loans, but less likely to receive PPP loans or to have those loans forgiven. And so I think that really just indicates, strongly the difficulties that exist, certainly for the LGBTQ, but these, also are barriers that exist for minority-owned and women-owned and immigrant-owned firms as well.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. And Mr. Montgomery, I know you have traveled to 20 cities and done a lot of research on barriers to business. And when I think of a business, it's something that's already up and running. My question is more so for entrepreneurs. Is there a city? I know you talked about guidelines and websites when it comes to entrepreneurs, but do any cities have departments just kind of an outreach just more gauged to entrepreneurs that we should take examples of?
Yeah, so a lot of cities, I think probably almost every single city that we looked at has some sort of department that is positioned to do that kind of outreach. An example would be DC, which isn't in the report. DC has the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, and they do a lot of outreach to the community, and they have a sub-agency called the Department of Small and Local Business Development that really kind of owns that process. And so we have seen that. What we really think is that cities should sort of have an all of the above kind of approach, because if you have ombudsmen that sort of are tasked with, I'm going to work with specific people and shuttle them around the different departments, that works for people who aren't as comfortable with computers. It works for people who might not understand how to facilitate online processes. But those processes should still be online because that makes it easier for other kinds of entrepreneurs. So I think the most successful thing would be to just look at this as an all-above approach where you're mixing and matching different kinds of strategies. And we'd be happy to follow up with more information on cities that have ombudsman or in-person one-stop shops. I think Chicago has a pretty good in-person one-stop shop where everybody from different agencies is kind of in one area, and so an entrepreneur can go in person and say, oh, I need to talk to zoning, and permitting is next door. So yeah, having that kind of mixing and matching is the best way that we think to go about this.
Yeah, no, great answer, because I feel that, sometimes the main streets are just there focused on the businesses that are there on the main streets, and it's, those entrepreneurs that are starting with the idea in their room, they need the assistance sometimes in order to navigate and the technical assistance. And I know we've talked about, website, peer-to-peer, cut down the steps. Mr. Castillo?
You should use the main streets for this. You should use the main streets as the starting point. They basically are like sub-agencies of the city, but there's 20 main streets, I think, and they touch 20 different neighborhoods. They cover the whole city. So it's almost like we almost have all the tools here. We're just
activating them,
or restructuring them, or giving, repurposing them.
Right.
We have everything in place. It's just a matter of, put it on the main streets, to be the starting point in whatever neighborhood that person wants to open up a business, as the center of getting information.
Right.
And then, I love the idea, if there was an office at 1010, because so much of the permitting is at 1010, that could be, the one building where all that stuff is at. So using Main Street, 1010 Mass Ave, and then ultimately here at City Hall, and mission accomplished.
No, I agree, and I think, we should equip our main streets to do a lot more, whether it's, applying, for funding, starting the process on maybe even permitting, or, but also love the idea, because, most of this work is going to be done at 1010 Mass Ave, that a lot of this assistance, when you sign your permit, the person at the counter should be able to say, hey, like downstairs is, application for funding, application for technical assistance. Having that one stop spot inside 1010, just makes it a lot more easier for people who are applying, to start a business. So is there any other recommendations that you guys, could give us as city councilors to advocate for and, push forward here in the city of Boston?
Well, I would just say that, council, owning what council can own, and then the executive agencies owning what they can own. And I think this hearing is a great step in that, because you had people who actually have ownership of these processes that were coming and talking. And ultimately, council can do a lot, but the agencies are the ones that know, why does step 57 and step 68, why do those steps exist? And so, from the standpoint of what council can do, council can look at, fee reduction and funding, efforts to exempt micro businesses from some of these $1,000 price tags that we're seeing on permits and licenses. Council can take the lead on issues like that. Council can call for a one-stop shop and even appropriate funding to do that. Council can focus on some of those notable roadblocks and barriers in the code that we've seen, like the clean hands requirement. And I understand we're still waiting for a lot of information about how the clean hands requirement actually works, but once we have that information, council can take the lead on those kinds of roadblocks. And then council just continuing to put pressure on, the mayor's office, on the agencies, on ISD, on licensing, to host those kinds of roundtables and working groups where these processes are reviewed, and we can really sit down, get into the nitty-gritty, and determine, okay, which steps do we not need in 2022, 2023? Which steps are decades old and are relics of an outdated process? Institute for Justice would really like to encourage that process to really focus on what processes are still taking place in person or have to take place in person, and how can we make that streamlined and online, of course, with the technical assistance that's still helping people who are the victims of the digital gap, but ultimately having the base of the process existing online. So focusing on in-person activities, and then focusing on the building and construction permits, which oftentimes have dozens of steps to get each one and are really difficult to understand. So those are kind of the two areas that we would encourage council to put pressure on the agencies to really think through how to streamline those.
He couldn't have said it better. I mean, to add to it, it's just accountability and transparency. So if those agencies are on the mindset, I really don't want to hear from the counselor about why this was delayed, or that we dropped the ball on that. I think that would move things along and keep moving forward the way we are. I mean, this is a sign of a better Boston to come.
Thank you to the panel. Now we'll open it up to public testimony. And if you signed up to testify in public, you could testify right here on my left-hand side at the microphone. And I believe I have, seems like Stephanie Lewis, small business owner. And thank you to the panel again, and thank you for all your hard work in advocating for small businesses. Please state your name, your affiliation, and your neighborhood.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Lewis. I live in the South End Roxbury line. I'm a small business owner for Expression of South. And I just started my company this year. So I want to just start off by saying thank you so much, Councilor Brian Worrell, and Councilor Mejia for having me, and thank you so much for everybody else that have me here. So this morning I did find out that my stepbrother passed away, and so it's very difficult for me to it's very difficult for me to come here today, but I'm here because my family still needs me to be here, so I have to be here. I had a whole speech written out, but I think I'm not going to read out that speech because I just wanted to talk from my heart. And as long as I could remember, the only thing that I know is just suffering, you know? My stepbrother, he had his whole life ahead of him. He wanted to, he started a roofing business and he wanted to really grow that business and just have a better life for himself. And my dad, who passed away years ago, I've seen him working as a truck driver every day, struggling to take care of me and my siblings. I just see him working on his life just to die with nothing, you know? No money for me, no money for my siblings, no investments, nothing, you know? And I'm here because I'm just kind of sick and tired of it. I really need things to change for my family, and I have to be the one that can help them change and that can help things be better for us. So although my business is something that I enjoy, which is event planning, it's not just for me, but it's for my mom, my other siblings, my family, just to stop the cycle of poverty, stop the cycle of just living but not really living our lives, you know? I know that like a lot of these programs out there are to help entrepreneurs and small business owners, but I think that what I need is something that is more individualized, you know? So when I go into these programs and they're telling us they have a list of things available, for me, I really just need to get my business off the ground. I really just need to be able to really put the word out that my business is out there, you know? So I need money, you know, that's the truth, that's what I need. So when I go to these programs and they tell me they have all these great things available, which is awesome, it doesn't necessarily help me with my need to have money, not just to buy pretty stuff, but to take care of my family, to make sure that they're okay, to make sure that I can at least have some type of money for my family, you know? I would just want to stop the cycle of poverty, stop the cycle of, you know, suffering and not having anything. And I think that as a small business owner, I think I really just need money, but also a chance to really, just a chance to be given to really, a fair chance to really start my business. And I don't feel like I'm getting that. I know that the city hall specifically has a lot of different departments, but I've come here so many different times, and when I come here, it's great, but it would be good to have someone that I could talk to directly about these things. And I know that there's probably like 1 million people that are probably wanting the same thing, but I just, you know, I haven't been able to get the help. Like I applied for a grant in February. I looked online to find out the status, and it's still till this day saying pending. So there's no like status about that. I also called in. I came in several times, but I wasn't able to like really see anyone. So this whole time is just me. I feel like I'm just making circles because the things that I need specifically are not being addressed. But it's not just it's not just that. I think that it's more so with what was said earlier about learning styles. Like they have some of these programs where they will help you do certain things, such as like financing or accounting, but which is great. But I'm more of a kinesthetic learner. You know, I can't just hear something and learn it. I actually have to be doing it. You know, I have to. You know, if they have a program where they can say, okay, we're gonna have you go into the field and work in the field with other people that are in the same field as you, and you're actually doing it. That's the way that I learn and thrive the best. So I just wanted to come and basically I probably didn't go over everything that I wanted to go over, but I'm just gonna continue fighting for my family and making sure that the constant, like I just feel like I just feel like it just keeps happening over and over again, where we're just working all our lives and then dying with nothing, you know? I know that probably sounds crazy, it sounds brutal, but that's my life and that's the truth. And I just wanna make sure that I can stop that cycle, to make sure that my family doesn't have to go through any of that again, and I don't have to go through that as well. In addition to doing my business, something that I'm really passionate about is helping the homeless. So it's something that I would also be doing within my company, using some money to like help the people that are homeless that don't have anything. Doing it, like I want to do a business and brunch event for other entrepreneurs and small businesses to kind of get together and talk about these issues and talk about what they need individually, and just kind of like grow from there, because I believe that so many other businesses, whether they're in my field or a different field, I believe that we can learn from each other and that can help us to grow. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis, and my condolences and prayers to your family. And thank you for your strength, your courage to show up, and lending your voice to moving the council and the administration to create the policy and the opportunities that's needed, here in the city of Boston. So thank you. We'll stay in contact. Okay. And Councilor Mejia and I and all our colleagues, we're going to continue to fight, for our community, for our people, and to make sure that we're able to, opportunity is not just a word, it's something that we can hold, feel, touch, and see. So thank you.
Thank you.
And with that said, this meeting is adjourned. Oh, okay. Oh, I guess it's here? Okay. Okay, so we have one more public testimony. We have Ed Gaskin from Grove Hall, Main Street.
Oh, thank you, councilors, for providing the opportunity. I'll make a couple quick remarks. And I was watching intensely with the discussion about different ways to provide services to our small business community. I believe one of the things that's missing right now is some type of CRM system in terms of the city collect.
Look like Mr. Gaskin has froze. Yeah.
And CRM, for those who are listening, is customer relationship management tools, I believe. So just for those who, I only know this because, I like to do my research. Right? That's what it is. Customer.
Right, CRMs, yep. Or client, customer.
Oh, client, right. Customer,
Yeah.
I'm just filling up some time here while we get back to the business at hand here. Hopefully you found that information useful. Yeah.
Let's see, we'll give Mr. Gaskin it's his computer?
That's another racial equity issue here that we have to get much.
So yeah, Mr. Gaskin is always writing recommendations for, the city of Boston on how to improve equity in city contracting and tearing down barriers to businesses. But it's unfortunate that we're not able to hear his testimony. But thank you to all the panelists, the administration. We will like to keep this in committee. But with that said, this meeting is adjourned.